Less than 24 hours away from Crown Jewel, SmackDown was a taped show tonight because all of the wrestlers are already over in Riyadh. We had the final push for Roman Reigns against LA Knight for the Undisputed Championship. Both men were on the show last week. They were in the building, so they taped two shows, so they were able to be on this week's show as well. And if you saw the contract signing segment last week between the two of them, this one tonight, this segment, really not that much different. But I thought it was a solid push into a main event that seems to have a foregone conclusion. I don't know anybody who honestly believes that LA Knight is walking out of Saudi Arabia as the champion. I certainly don't. And so the challenge now becomes, what kind of a finish do they do? I do have one interesting idea that was floated to me by a friend, and I will present that idea to you here in a little bit as far as what they could do. One possibility for the finish to that main event tomorrow. But we also had the final push for John Cena and Solo Sikoa. John Cena took a Samoan spike last week from Solo. And he was in the building, so of course he was part of tonight's episode as well. This is likely going to be it for John Cena. John Cena was only supposed to be back through the end of October, and now he'll be at Crown Jewel tomorrow. As far as we know, this is it for Cena. Now, the actor strike is still ongoing. It's always possible they could tack on another one or two shows, but we may have seen John Cena with his final SmackDown appearance of this run. And I will say, it was an unexpected run, I think, for everybody involved. It's been nice to see Cena back on TV. It is true what they say, that absence makes the heart grow fonder. Which is maybe that's why there's so many people who hate me. Maybe I have to take a few streams off, and people will learn to appreciate what they no longer have, right? You don't want me to do that, though, right? No, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here tomorrow as well, talking all things Crown Jewel. But in the main event, Bayley and Bianca Belair had a match to close out tonight's show. You know, it was 1 year ago at last year's Crown Jewel that Bianca and Bayley had a last woman standing match. And it was an excellent match. These two work very well together. They generally have very good matches together. They've been in the ring now several times. So a year ago at Crown Jewel, they had that last woman standing match, which was, like I said, very good. And they had another quality match tonight in the main event. Bayley playing the role effectively of gatekeeper here. She had to get past Bayley before she can challenge Io Sky tomorrow for the championship.
It's the amazing
You knew what the outcome was going to be.
Jerry Lawler loves Gunther.
Bianca wasn't losing that match.
All hail Gunther.
Hey, Fire Panda getting us started here tonight with a $50 Gunther bomb. Fire Panda, thank you very much. Very happy to see you here with us tonight, Fire Panda. I hope you're having a good Friday night. Very, very kind of you. But not as good as the match at Crown Jewel last year, which I didn't expect it to be. But I did enjoy the main event. Honestly, if you did not see tonight's show, Bianca and Bayley had a good main event, and the Brawling Brutes and Pretty Deadly, I thought, had a pretty good WWE style brawl. They had one of these good old fashioned Donnybrook matches, and I thought that was also pretty enjoyable. But absent that, this was a completely missable show. And after Crown Jewel, in less than 24 hours, pretty much everything that happened on the show tonight will be rendered obsolete. This was the final push to Crown Jewel. After tomorrow, none of this is going to matter. So, good main event, not much else really to speak of. It was a filler episode of SmackDown. But we don't do filler around here. You don't get a filler episode of The Sound Of. No, sir. I always bring my best. This is your Friday Night SmackDown review for November 3rd, 2023. I am the Solomonster. Like and subscribe. You know, I mentioned Fire Panda a moment ago, who dropped that $50 Gunther bomb. Fire Panda also tweeted me earlier, you know, when I put the page up, right after I put the page up, and people started liking the video, which you should do too, by the way. Please go ahead and like the video. But if you would take a look at what's on your screen here, I would direct your attention to the thumbs up icon. And I was stunned. It was pointed out to me that I had 138,000 likes on this video earlier. Boy, it looks like I should have set the goal a little bit higher for Be the Booker. I think I set it on the low side tonight. 138,000, you say. So thank you for pointing out that little glitch to me, because I took a look. I had to do a double take when I saw that. Although that would be nice, 138,000 likes. That would pretty much get us to where we need to be. That's YouTube for you. Anyway, super chats are open, so if you have any questions, predictions, right? Let me know what your predictions are for the main event tomorrow. Send them on in. If you want to support, and I will give you guys a shout out. We'll read those on the air here in a little bit. Also, thank you to Zizu, who gifted a channel membership earlier before I went live. Very much appreciated. Before I go on here and I get into the review, I do want to mention this, and I'll put a little banner up on the screen here, because House of Glory has a show coming up in about a month, Friday, December 1st, called The Darkest Hour. And it will be our final show of the year. They've been making a lot of announcements. We have been making a lot of announcements. And as the commissioner, of course, you know, it's my duty to put together the best possible matches that I can. But in all seriousness, I will say that this card, which is not done yet being announced, we're still a month out, but this card that we are putting together for this final show of 2023, no bullshit, in my opinion, is going to be, it's already shaping up to be the greatest card that we have ever assembled. And you can see there the double main event, Swerve Strickland coming back to House of Glory for the first time in many years, bringing Prince Nana with him. And it'll be Swerve Strickland one-on-one with Speedball Mike Bayley, which is going to be a phenomenal match. You don't need me to tell you that. And Santana, Mike Santana, challenging Matt Cardona for the House of Glory World Championship, and just announced during SmackDown tonight, earlier this evening, the grizzled young veterans, fresh out of their WWE NXT contracts, are coming as part of their world tour. One of their first stops is being made at the NYC Arena for House of Glory. James Drake and Zach Gibson on their world tour will be on the show as well. So that and a lot more. I'm very excited about this. Of course, there'll be more announcements to come over the course of the next 4 weeks. It's going to be a very fun night. If you can't be there live in the building, I sure do hope that you will tune in on Premier Streaming Network, because that is going to be a very fun night. Well, let's get into this SmackDown show, because the final SmackDown before Crown Jewel opened with LA Knight making his way to the ring. LA Knight's chance to make his final pitch before challenging Roman Reigns for the Undisputed Championship. Hey, Fire Panda gifted 5 channel memberships. So Fire Panda has created 5 new members for us here on the channel. Fire Panda, thank you. And to our new members, welcome to the family. I hope you enjoy your stay. Enjoy the new emojis that you now have access to. So LA Knight's out to the ring, and he says that Roman Reigns holding the championship for nearly 1,200 days, because he is very close to 1,200 days. I think, what would they say? 1,160, I believe, is the number that they mentioned on the show tonight. I think it might have been. He said that's very impressive. And he said that he was conducting a hostile takeover. He will take over everything that Roman stands for and thinks he's owned for the last 3 years. He was interrupted by Roman Reigns' theme music. And Michael Cole on commentary noted that on last week's show, it was LA Knight who interrupted Roman's entrance for the contract signing. Right in the middle of his entrance, he came out, he blew right past him. So he said that this was Roman making up for what he did in returning the favor from last Friday. We also had Reigns in the ring telling us that typically he would tell this irrelevant town to acknowledge him. But they know who he is already. Not only do they know who he is, he told them earlier in the first episode that they taped earlier that same night. So yes, I would hope that the people know who Roman Reigns is at that point. This is episode 2. Reigns said that he expected someone to step up while he was out. Since SummerSlam, he was missing there for a couple months. He just didn't think that it would be LA Knight. And he said that Knight got all the people on his side, and that's not an easy thing to do in today's day and age. Reigns told the fans to go ahead and chant LA Knight's name because this would be
the amazing
the last.
Gunther.
Well,
Jerry
now,
Lawler loves
speaking of
Gunther,
interruptions,
the magnificent. All hail Gunther.
Now that's an interruption I can get behind. Happy Friday to you too, JM. Very happy to see you back here again tonight. JM with the $50 Gunther bomb. Giving Gunther a good workout here on tonight's stream. You'll love to see it. It's not even Crown Jewel yet. You guys making me feel special. Thank you, JM. Again, I'm going to get to all your messages here in a little bit. So Roman said, look, it's not easy in this day and age to get over in the way that LA Knight has gotten himself over. And he is going to give them a chance to chant this man's name one last time before he beats him at Crown Jewel. He says that he does what he would refer to, or what people refer to as cinema. That's what he does. He says he turned the business into a multi-billion-dollar industry. He said the only thing that Knight has done is get the fans to chant his name and, quote, cosplay a redneck version of my cousin. Somewhere Kevin Nash is smiling as he is sitting his lazy boy at home watching the show. Reigns said that he would smash Knight and leave him in the desert, and he won't be the last one. So then it was LA Knight's chance to respond. And Knight said that Reigns doesn't understand that he is not coming at him from the same angle as everybody else. All the other people that he has been in the ring with, all the other people that he has beaten. He's not like any of them. He said that he wasn't there to finish something. He was there to start his own era. He said Reigns damn near made himself a megastar by carrying the title, whereas he is a megastar every single day. And Knight said that he doesn't do warning shots. He told Reigns to make sure he's good and done, or he would come back and he would find him. He said the only bloodline would be the one dripping down from between Roman's eyes, while LA Knight is named the new WWE champion. Nick Aldis and a group of referees had to come in and get between them because things started to get a little bit heated. There was some pushing and shoving going on back and forth. And then Roman Reigns left the ring. You could tell watching this segment that this was the second episode of the night that they had taped. Because just that enthusiasm that was there for the first episode just wasn't there. You could tell that they had already seen these two earlier in the night. Not only did they see them earlier in the night, I think in the opening and the closing segment, but they saw that contract signing. And what was said here in this segment, I thought LA Knight did another very good job here. Roman also did well. But it was very similar to what they already saw and what these two already said in the contract signing earlier that same night. Only instead of a contract signing, they had a face-to-face. So this really wasn't all that different, but I thought it was a solid last minute back and forth to hype up tomorrow's main event. The outcome is not in doubt as far as I'm concerned. The outcome is not in doubt as far as who is walking, and I won't say who's winning the match. The outcome is in doubt because LA Knight could win. He could win by disqualification, but the outcome is not in doubt as far as who is going to walk out with the championship, and that person is going to be Roman Reigns. But I mentioned an idea that was floated to me, and so I want to give a shout out to my my buddy Noah, because he was the one who texted me and presented this idea. And his idea was this: what if tomorrow at Crown Jewel, Damian Priest, who is in possession of the Money in the Bank briefcase, and he is already wrestling on the show against Cody Rhodes, so I will put that on the side. What if Damian Priest comes out to cash in his Money in the Bank during the main event? There's an opportunity that presents itself. Maybe both men are down, right? Similar to WrestleMania 31. Why did Seth Rollins come out and cash in during the match? Because Lesnar was down, Roman Reigns was down. So what if Damian Priest comes out and does the same thing? He sees an opportunity, he comes out, he cashes in, it's made official, ding, ding, ding. But then in the end, Roman Reigns cleanly ends up pinning Damian Priest to retain the championship. And so the logic behind that idea is that in the end, it gets LA Knight out of having to do the job. Even though he didn't win the title, he's not the one to eat the pin in the match. Damian Priest is the one to eat the pin. And the other part of that is that you've now given LA Knight a reason to want to be part of the War Games match to get revenge on the Judgment Day, if we assume that A, there is going to be a War Games match, and B, that the Judgment Day is going to be on the heel side, with or without the Bloodline. If there is a War Games match, with or without the members of the Bloodline, we know the Judgment Day is going to be represented on the heel side. So if Damian Priest tries to cash in and he's unsuccessful, LA Knight can say, wait a minute, you just screwed me out of the championship. I want in on this War Game. Now he's got beef with the Judgment Day. So in that respect, it would make sense to kind of tie those two things together. My only issue with this, though, is that this makes for a very bad night for Damian Priest. If you assume that he is losing to Cody Rhodes. So he loses to Cody, comes out later to try to avenge the loss and try to end on a high note, cashes in Money in the Bank, and then loses. Damian Priest ends up looking like a fucking geek at the end of all this. Now, you could always have JD McDonough get involved, and there's some sort of, something backfires, and then it creates more tension within the Judgment Day. To be honest with you, I'm getting tired of this Judgment Day tension. I'm just waiting for something to boil over already so we can move on to whatever the next phase of this story is going to be. I mean, they've been teasing tension for how many months now? But that's the only thing I don't really like about that idea, is I just don't think it does Damian Priest any favors. But it would be a clever way to have LA Knight not directly lose and then give him a reason to want to be part of the War Games match on the babyface side. So, not a bad idea, but I throw it to you guys. What do you think of that idea? Let me know what you think of that. Big Kevin Owens against Austin Theory, with Grayson Waller sitting in on commentary. Before Theory made his entrance, he was at the gorilla position with Kayla Braxton being interviewed, and he said that he remembered Owens saying that he has a very punchable face, which he says he does not. Theory said that Owens has a face that only a mother could love. He said Owens would not have to wear a mask for Halloween once he is finished with him. Halloween's over, bruh. It's done. You're late to the party. Halloween's over. I can't believe they left that in. Or scripted that and then left it in. Maybe he's talking about Halloween 2024. But I just thought to myself, Halloween? I mean, I know this was taped last week, but come on here. Get some quality control on this show. So, Waller, as I said, was on commentary for this match. And he said that Owens sucker punched him in Theory last week. And was talking about that one punch when Owens punched both of them at the same time. The match spilled out to ringside. Owens hit a senton to the floor. That took us into a commercial break. Theory took control until Owens caught him with a spinning fisherman's buster from the middle rope, which was a very cool spot. We've seen Owens do that many times before. Owens followed up with a pop-up power bomb and then looked over at Waller as if he, to make sure, hey, are you watching this? And then he put Theory away with a stunner. And if that sounds like a squash, it almost kind of was. I mean, the match went about 6 or 7 minutes, and there was a, kind of a tug of war back and forth, but it's a pretty cut and dry win here for Kevin Owens. And I laugh because, they moved Kevin Owens away from Raw and out of his tag team with Sami Zayn to come to SmackDown and feud with a tag team of Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. I don't know. Although I did say Waller makes sense. He's someone that Owens hasn't worked with before. But it's almost as if Theory was just sort of sacrificed to get to the real feud here, which I think is Owens and Grayson Waller. But it is funny to me that he went from being in a tag team to being singles again, and now he's feuding with a tag team all by himself. So that's going to be the next match now coming out of this. It'll be Kevin Owens against Grayson Waller. Hopefully that will be more entertaining than this, because Austin Theory just bores me when he's out there. And Theory, and I've said this about Theory before, because there are still people who say Theory is the future, and they still believe that. And I think that they will try to position him as that. And that they think that Theory, his upside is huge, and he's going to be a big star. And look, I hope he is. I hope he ends up being a huge star for them. But there has been a noticeable fall off from WrestleMania until now. At WrestleMania is when he wrestled John Cena. He beat John Cena. It meant nothing. It was a complete waste. The key is always in the follow-up, and the follow-up just hasn't been very interesting. The thing about him is you could say, oh, he looks great. His work is fine. Great. Character and personality-wise, though, he's boring. He's completely one-dimensional. They've stripped away even the things that made him interesting. I almost want him to go back to the selfie stick gimmick again. Now, when he was in NXT, he was part of the way with the Garganos and with Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell, and he was a total goofball. It was cornball comedy. He was entertaining, but he was a total goof. Then he got called up to the main roster, and they stripped most of that away, and they had to, because it was time. It was time to take him a little more seriously. But he was still kind of maintaining a shred of that with the selfie stick stuff. And then they took that away from him, and now you see what we have here. I don't see what's so interesting about Austin Theory. He's still finding himself. I hope Triple H maybe can help him do that. Now that Triple H has full control back of things, I don't think he has anything against Austin Theory. I mean, Theory was a Vince McMahon project. I don't think that means that Triple H is trying to sabotage him or anything like that. I think he wants him to succeed. But what they're doing with him now, and the pairing with Waller, it's a good pairing. But if anything, to me, it highlights the problem here. Waller is actually entertaining. He's able to show off a lot of personality. Some people might not like him. They might think he's annoying. But if given the choice between the two of them, which do I think would be more entertaining? A program with Kevin Owens and Austin Theory, or Kevin Owens and Grayson Waller? I'm going to say Grayson Waller. It's almost like Waller in some ways is what I think Theory should be, or maybe what they want Theory to be, but he's not. So he's kind of an enigma in that way. I don't have an issue with his work. I think he's actually quite good. I've seen him have very good matches before with some of the veterans on the roster. Bobby Lashley, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens. But there's just something missing. It's like what Cena says. Cena was on After the Bell, the WWE podcast with Corey Graves. And he was asked about Austin Theory, and he talked about him again and said, anything I would go out there and say about Theory like he did in their promo leading up to WrestleMania when he torched him on television. He just fucking emasculated this guy. I wouldn't say it unless, I knew I would say that to his face. It's not like I'm going to go out there and say something and I don't have the guts to actually say it to his face. I've told him this before. And we still keep in touch and I give him advice, but even still, Cena says he has not made that connection with the audience. Remember what he said in that promo back in March? People see you on TV, they change the channel. They don't care. It's apathy. And he apparently still feels the same way, that the fans are very apathetic towards Theory. So, he's got to find himself. He's got to find something, I think, to make that change and make that connection. But to me, anyway, he just hasn't been able to do it. So hopefully he can turn that around. Kathy Kelly was in the back interviewing Bianca Belair ahead of her match later on in the show with Bayley. And, of course, her title match with Io Sky tomorrow. Io and Bayley attacked Bianca from behind, and she fought them off, and producers came in. Nick Aldis was there to try to separate them. Elsewhere in the back, Logan Paul was shown walking through the hallway and came upon Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. They all shook hands, and Lashley told the Profits that Logan was an example of a man who came in and made sure that he got what he wanted. And so B-Fab shows up. Remember her? She's still around. B-Fab showed up, and she said that the Profits are up. She complimented them on their new Rolexes, and then she asked Bobby if she could speak with him for a minute. Of course, Bobby Lashley's not going to say no to B-Fab. He goes, come on into my office over this way, and we'll go have a conversation. Now, what they talked about, we don't know. Are they going to add BFAB to their little faction here? Maybe. I don't know what that means for Ashanti the Adonis. Probably not a good thing, because he's all by himself now. He doesn't have top dollar anymore. He spent his last dollar. He's got no dollars left. So we'll see where this BFAB thing goes. But she's there. She's got a great presence if they want to use her in a managerial role. I mean, I wouldn't be against it. But that was the last we saw of them on the show tonight. Now, next up, we got a recap of Shotzi pinning Chelsea Green last week. And then we got footage from the SmackDown Lowdown that airs on Peacock every Saturday. So from this past Saturday, it was the women's tag champs being interviewed, Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. And they were mocking Shotzi when Chelsea decided to pitch a tag team match for the show tonight. It would be Chelsea and Piper against Shotzi and a partner of her choosing. And they were mocking her about her trying to find a partner. And so that led into the next match, which was Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, non-title, against Shotzi and a partner of her choosing. And that partner turned out to be Charlotte Flair. And she came out to the ring with her. And the match started with Piper and Shotzi. It was not going well for Shotzi. Chelsea tagged in, worked over Shotzi for a little bit. Niven tagged back in. Shotzi got the tag, though, to Charlotte. I mean, you could have just ended the match right there. She came in. She hit a crossbody off the top to both Niven and Green. Charlotte hit a series of chops on both of them. Then she hit a suplex on Chelsea and got her hands on Piper. But Chelsea got a blind tag, only to run into a big boot, and she got pinned. So there was no natural selection. There was no figure eight. It was Charlotte Flair with a boot, pinning one half of the women's tag team champions. A complete slap in the face of the women's tag champs to be beaten in basically what turned out to be a 2-on-1 handicap match. Let's just call it what it is. This was a handicap match. Charlotte beat the women's tag team champions all by herself. Similar to what we've seen in past years when you had the top star in the men's division. Going into a handicap situation, we've seen the tag team champions get beaten before then. The issue, though, is that the women's tag team titles have not exactly at any point been positioned as anything really super serious. And so to see something like this doesn't do these two women any favors. But talking about the women's tag team titles at this point, it's beating a dead horse. So there's no point in belaboring the issue. I've made my thoughts very clear on the women's tag team titles and how they are booked and treated in this company. Up next was the face-to-face in the ring with John Cena and Solo Sikoa ahead of their match at Crown Jewel tomorrow. Only it did not begin with John Cena. It started with Solo Sikoa and Paul Heyman in the ring by themselves, cutting a promo on John Cena. And Heyman said that it's the end of days for the Doctor of Thugonomics. Doctor of Thugonomics, I mean, he's been dead for many years. I know Cena has resuscitated him, brought him back to life a few times, but he's been dead for a while. He said it's not the way that he wanted it to be. Told the fans not to blame Roman Reigns. Heyman said that Cena came back to WWE and picked a fight with the Bloodline. And he asked if they were just supposed to let Cena get away with that. Heyman said that Roman calls the shots and he turns to the assassin. And Heyman suggested that one day Solo Sikoa could very well be the tribal chief, and John Cena will be one of his victims. Solo turns to Heyman, stops him, whispers something to him, takes the microphone away from him, and says, "Paul, why are you wasting your breath talking to them? We didn't come here to talk to them. We came here to talk to John Cena, face to face." And so that brought John Cena out to the ring in what may have been his final appearance here on SmackDown during this run. This very unexpected run. Solo told Cena. Solo did more talking in this segment than he has, I think, his entire main roster run combined so far, which is over a year. He told Cena that he was pissed off that he's got to wait until tomorrow to fight him. But he's got orders from the tribal chief, and those orders were to give him the microphone so that John could say goodbye to the fans while he still can. Because come tomorrow, and then he stared at his thumb, which was all taped up. said, "You won't be able to." And then John Cena spoke. Now, if you remember last week's show, John Cena took a Samoan spike to the throat. Paul Heyman was even teasing that, if Solo gives you that Samoan spike at Crown Jewel, you're a Hollywood guy, right? You're big on communicating with people. You won't be able to talk anymore. You won't be able to communicate after he hits you with the spike. So John Cena takes the microphone. And I shall try to do my best John Cena impression here to the best of my ability. Cena said, "That's it?" He was doing a raspy voice. He's an actor. We saw John Cena acting here. So he's an actor. I'm not. So let's see if I could do a decent job here. He goes, now that I think about it, he kind of sounded like Christian Bale in The Dark Knight. "Is that it?" He says, "That's it?" Yeah, he really did. He sounded like he was chain smoking 10 packs a day for about 10 years. A little touch of COPD in there, I think. Says, "Do you realize who you're in the ring with? We've been waiting for you to talk for a year. That's all you can come up with." Man, I can't I can't do that voice. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's giving me flashbacks to when I did the Macho Man voice for Halloween 5 years ago, whatever it was. Some of you were there at the meetup, right? I dressed up as the Macho Man. I had the Slim Jims in my hand. I did the voice all night long. I couldn't speak properly for a week. It sounded like grinding glass in my throat. Don't ever do that, by the way. Don't ever try to imitate the Macho Man for an entire night. It will not be good for your throat. Cena said, "I could do this with half a voice, and it's only going to take 90 seconds to cook you." Said, "I'm going to say goodbye, but I'm not going to say goodbye to them. I'm going to say goodbye for them. We all know the only reason you got a job around here is because of your cousin. We all see you walking around like you're some big badass enforcer, when in reality, you're nothing but a bargain basement Taz ripoff." And I'll tell you why I love that line. If you watched Dynamite last week, 2 nights ago, what the fuck am I talking about? If you watched Dynamite 48 hours ago, hey, Rodimus Prime, thank you for the $7. You are banned from Collision. It's in his contract, CM Punk, he still has that power. Tony Khan, it's ironclad. He couldn't take it away from him. So, I'm sorry, you are banned from Collision. Although, more and more these days, it seems like some of the fans are banning themselves from Collision. I sound like Jimmy Snuka, brother. Where am I, brother? She was dead when I got there, brother. But what I was going to say is, on Dynamite on Wednesday, Excalibur was doing a read, a little tease for the new season of Wipeout, which is on TBS with John Cena. He's the co-host. So you see John Cena in the little graphic on the screen, and he mentions John Cena, and you hear Taz go, "Hey, I know that guy." So it's just funny to me that we had the Taz mention of John Cena on Wednesday, and here in this promo, John Cena is name-dropping Taz. Now, unless Taz is reading the SmackDown spoilers, which is always possible, and he's aware of the fact that Cena mentioned his name, I'm not sure if Taz really cares about the SmackDown spoilers. It's just kind of funny to me that we had both of them basically putting each other over, name-dropping each other on the opposite shows here this week. I may be the only one who is amused by this, but that's okay. I do this to amuse myself anyway. So Cena concluded his promo. Said, "So tape that thumb up tight, because the only place it's because the only place that thumb is going is straight up your ass." And then he looked at his watch and he said, "Yeah, that's about 90 seconds. Why does he sound like a gunslinger in the Old West? What am I doing here? Anyway, that was the end of John Cena's promo. He walked off, and that was the conclusion of the segment. And indeed, John Cena did cook him in the, as he said, cook him. He cooked him. Apparently, I see this all over social media now. This is the new phrase now I see. Everyone's talking about NXT whenever Shawn Michaels has a good show. Shawn Michaels is cooking, man. He's cooking. Like, what's he cooking? Steak? Chicken? When did this become a thing? Tony Khan, he's not cooking anymore. Shawn Michaels is cooking, man. Triple H is cooking. John Cena was cooking here in this segment. It's amazing how these things just spread. What's the next word going to be? I wonder. Well, anyway, he cooked him here in this promo. He filleted this man on the microphone, even with half a voice. John Cena is still one of the best promos in the entire company. So now, the question is, does he do the honors for Solo tomorrow at Crown Jewel, or do they go for the feel-good moment? Because John Cena hasn't won a singles match, televised singles match, in 5 years, right? They told that story on TV. They told that story for a reason. Because it is building to a John Cena win at Crown Jewel, I do predict. Damage Control was backstage. Bayley said that she's going to put Bianca on the shelf tonight, and she might even take her spot at Crown Jewel and challenge Io Sky for the Women's Championship. And they didn't seem to like that very much, and then she had to tell them, I'm just joking, I'm just kidding, it's only a joke. Nick Aldis showed up and said that Damage Control is going to be barred from ringside tonight because he wants to make sure that we have a winner, a decisive winner in tonight's main event. Bayley was shaken by this development, and then Io, with a smile on her face, she said this a little too gleefully. She told Bayley, "You got this." Then we had a good old-fashioned Donnybrook brawl match, whatever they want to call it, between the Brawling Brutes and Pretty Deadly. They had barrels and kegs and beer bottles and all kinds of stuff set up outside the ring. Butch jumped Pretty Deadly while they were still on stage in the middle of the slow-mo portion of their entrance, which was kind of funny. You see the slow-mo Butch jumping in to attack them. So the action spilled into the ring. Usually the action spills out of the ring. Here it spilled into the ring. And Butch and Ridge Holland, they hit stereo 10 beats on Wilson and Prince. Butch grabbed a pair of shillelaghs, and the Brutes worked over the heels with them. Eventually, Pretty Deadly got a hold of the shillelaghs. They went to hit Ridge Holland with them. Holland caught them and threw them both over the top rope. Butch then landed a moonsault from the top onto everybody, including his own partner, and that took us into the commercial break. Back from the break, Elton Prince hit a tornado DDT. Holland worked the Boston Crab here in this street fight. Let's just bust out a traditional wrestling submission. Okay. Prince went for the save. Butch, though, grabbed an ankle lock on Elton Prince, so we had stereo submissions here, which I guess was the whole point of the spot. So Prince and Wilson, they locked hands to try to fire each other up. Prince ended up kicking Butch away, smashed a bar stool across Ridge Holland's back. Pretty Deadly followed that up with a double team move. I don't know, some kind of power bomb that they were going for here. This did not go the way that they had intended. And Corey Graves on commentary, he yells, "Yikes." And that was my reaction to watching this spot. Although usually in the past, or the last time when Elton Prince got injured, it's the other way around. Usually it's Ridge Holland doing something and me going, "Yikes." But in this case, it was Holland taking the move. So Prince brought a shillelagh back in, and he hit Butch with it. Prince then went to the top. Holland cut him off and powerbombed him through a table on the outside. Holland grabbed a table from under the ring, and the Brutes set it up inside the ring. Kit Wilson rolled away, though, and he went to the floor. And then Wilson ran Holland into one of the kegs when Holland came out after him. Butch and Wilson, they were on the second rope. Prince, though, showed up with a glass bottle, and he shattered it over Butch's head. And then both members of Pretty Deadly hit their finish from the ropes to Butch through a table in the ring, and they pinned him to win the good old-fashioned Donnybrook. So they beat the Brawling Brutes in their own match. This was fun. It was you know, as WWE style brawls go, you know, I mean, it's nothing Like, if you're into the hardcore type stuff, this is pretty much WWE hardcore. Although I will say, if you did not see night 2 of Halloween Havoc on Tuesday, you want to see a more of a hardcore type WWE match, go watch the match with the Creed brothers against Angel and Humberto. That was a great match. Although some of the bumps that Julius took were incredibly stupid. But that was more dangerous than I was expecting that match to be on Tuesday. But this was good. I will tell you, there was a spot during the match where Butch wiped out, I think it was, I believe it was Kit Wilson, with a bro kick in Sheamus's honor. Sheamus, for those who don't know, is out with apparently a pretty serious shoulder injury. I don't know if he's had surgery or not. It doesn't sound like he's going to be back anytime soon. I don't know what his WrestleMania status is going to be. But he hit a bro kick to Kit Wilson, and Kit Wilson kicked out, and that surprised me. Although I guess maybe the idea is that the bro kick is usually a protected move, but I guess only when Sheamus hits it. But that did surprise me. But that is now 2 wins. That's 2 wins for Pretty Deadly over the Brawling Brutes. It's time to move on. There's really no need to drag this program out anymore. It's been going on for months. 2 straight wins here for Pretty Deadly. They beat the Brutes on, I believe it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago. It was sometime in October, I think, the last time they wrestled. It's time to move on. What that is, I don't know, because the tag team division, it's kind of slim pickings on that side right now. You got Waller and Theory. You know, I mean, what else is there? The Street Profits. They're all heels, right? So who's Pretty Deadly going to work with? I don't know, but it's time to move on from this. I know that. Now, Nick Aldis was shown walking backstage. He was going somewhere when he came upon Paul Heyman, who was standing outside the locker room door for the Bloodline. Heyman wanted to give him a pearl of wisdom, and Aldis sounded annoyed and told him, look, hurry up. I got a weigh-in I got to get to. Not for him, for the 2 people in the U.S. title match tomorrow. It's not a prerequisite that the GM has to weigh in himself. So Heyman said that if I were you, I would have a lot of medical personnel on hand tomorrow for LA Knight, because he's been around, Heyman has been around a lot of Samoans in his day, right? Going all the way back to the Samoan SWAT team days in the NWA. He's been around Samoans for decades. And he said that this is the most savage version of Roman Reigns that anyone will ever see. That was it. That was the only message that he had for Nick Aldis. So after a commercial, it was to the back. I don't know where they were. They were backstage somewhere. This was not in the ring, but they were in the back. We had Nick Aldis introducing us for the weigh-in for the United States Championship match tomorrow at Crown Jewel with Rey Mysterio and Logan Paul. And I spied Cal Hero in the background. OVW's own Cal Hero, David Hero's son. He was one of the security guards. He had a WWE security personnel shirt on in the background. Logan Paul weighed in at 213 pounds. Rey Mysterio weighed in at 175 pounds. And then they played this hilariously, obviously fake and phony paparazzi camera shutter sound effect to make it sound like they had a room filled with 50 paparazzi and photographers from all media outlets all over the country snapping photos of this. When they panned out a little bit, you could see a few people in front. Half of them had cell phones out. Why would they be making sounds? I don't know. But they obviously went a little nutty here with the sound effect. And so they come face to face and they do the usual manufactured, you know, the I hate you, I'm going to beat you, right? I hate your guts and all that kind of stuff. They're talking smack to each other like you see at all these ridiculous weigh-ins. Rey slapped Logan. Logan got hot. He came back with a right hand, but he caught one of the security geeks with it. Not Cal, the other one that was there. And he went down. And then as Nick Aldis was holding Logan Paul back, Rey hit Logan in the head with the microphone. And Rey got whisked away. That was it. That was the entire weigh-in. This was a waste of time, is what this was. Although it was quick. At least it was quick. They also announced Bobby Lashley on SmackDown for next Friday. He's going to go one-on-one with Carlito. And then it was the time for our main event. It was Bayley one-on-one against Bianca Belair with Dakota Kai and Io Sky, banned from ringside. After a break, Bayley was in control. You might even say that she was in damage control. I'm just saying. And she hit an elbow from the apron onto Bianca on the floor. Back inside, Bayley went for a cover, but Bianca immediately kicked out. Bayley worked a chin lock. Bianca fought out of it, hit a backbreaker, and then she fired up, and she made a comeback. And with Bayley on the top rope, Bianca hit a scary-looking superplex. She almost didn't get the complete rotation for it, but she ended up hitting it. But it was a little scary there. Belair went for a moonsault after that, but Bayley moved out of the way, and she dragged Bianca by her ponytail outside. Bayley rammed Bianca into the ring post, and then she hit an elbow from the top rope and got a near fall out of it. Bayley went outside. She cleared off the announce desk. Bayley then lifted Bianca for a power bomb, but Bianca fought out of it. They fought on the apron, and Belair avoided a charge from Bayley as she came in, and so Bayley just ran herself right into the ring post. Belair followed that up with a dive to the outside and then rolled Bayley back into the ring. She went for the KOD. Bayley, though, rolled out and into a pinning attempt, which was not successful. Bianca kicked out. She whipped Bayley hard right across the midsection with her braid. It's been a while since we've had that spot, the braid spot, with Bianca. However, it sounded great. I just can't tell you for sure if that was the genuine sound effect or not. On these taped shows, you can never be sure. Like I said, we just had the camera shuttering, the camera snapping in the previous segment. So I don't know if this was something that they edited into the show, which they've done before with sound effects. But then again, even the live shows with this company these days, sometimes it's hard to tell what's manufactured and what's not. But it sounded great. The only reason I also say that is because when she's done that before, typically it leaves a welt almost immediately on the person's skin. She whipped this woman so hard right across the midsection, and I didn't see any welt. So again, I don't know for sure, but it sounded great. And then she got Bayley up on her shoulders, hit the KOD, and got the 1-2-3. After the match, Bianca celebrated her win in the ring and then looked down at Bayley. She went out to the floor. She hoisted her up again on her shoulders. She looked in the camera while she had Bayley up on her shoulders, and she delivered a message for Io Sky, basically saying she would, this would be her at Crown Jewel tomorrow. And she dropped Bayley through the announce desk, planted her with a KOD to close out the show. So a predictable outcome, the outcome that needed to be, because Bianca is challenging for the Women's Championship tomorrow. How could she go into the main event tonight and lose and then go and wrestle Io Sky tomorrow? So we knew how this was going to end, but these two women, when they're in the ring together, and they have been now several times over the past couple of years, they generally have very good matches. And again, I really enjoyed their last woman standing match at Crown Jewel last year. This was not that, but I thought this was a very good main event. Now, there's a lot of rumors going around about Kairi Sane, as there have been for several weeks, but now it sounds like there's a possibility she could pop up at Crown Jewel tomorrow. That's not confirmed. It's not a spoiler. It's still speculation, but she clearly is coming in very soon, imminently. She is returning to WWE. Could it be as early as tomorrow? And if so, would it be factored into this match in some way? Is she going to come out and counteract Damage Control and help Bianca win the belt back, or is she potentially going to join with Damage Control? For the sake of continuity, I would hope not, because the last time we saw her, I said this a few weeks ago, it was a beatdown from Bayley in the back that sent Kairi out of the company. That was her last appearance. She was savagely beaten backstage, I think when they were still doing their shows at the PC during the height of COVID. And she was beaten down by Bayley. So for her to come back and join with Bayley wouldn't make any sense. But for her to come back and stop damage control from costing Bianca the match, that I could see. And if she does that, we're going to have a new women's champion. And I really would rather let Io have more time with the title. I wouldn't do a title change right now. I don't think it's necessary. But if Kyrie does factor into this, I think it's because Bianca's probably winning the title. We won't have to wait very long to find out because Crown Jewel is less than 24 hours away. By the way, if you want to know my Crown Jewel predictions for the show, it's up right now on the YouTube channel. Go check it out. Make sure you check it out before Crown Jewel tomorrow if you're looking for some pre-show content. It is up here on the channel. Take a look at the Twitter poll. 66% of you have given this show a thumbs up tonight. 33% thumbs down for SmackDown. Barely over 400 votes in. What does that tell you about the interest level in tonight's SmackDown? Because generally by now that number's a lot higher. But I guess that's what happens when you have a taped show. But a positive score overall at Solomonster on Twitter. Go check it out. Leave a vote. Leave a comment. Always very cool to hear from you guys. All right, let's take a look at your super chats and your Crown Jewel predictions if you got them. Let me hear them. See what you guys are talking about here. All right, let's see what Giandre Kincaid or Jandre. You got to tell me how you want your name pronounced. I don't want to butcher your name, man. I want to make sure I say it the right way. But he wants to know, what is your favorite theme song of all time? Mine is 05 Christian's WWE theme before he left for TNA. Real American. I will always put Real American at number one. Hulk Hogan's theme, even though it wasn't originally intended for Hulk Hogan, it's the one that he popularized. Made it famous. That will always be my number one. The Real CSO2. I've always wondered why WWE stopped with the custom stages. You would think that with them making more money than ever before, they would do custom stages. Well, they're making more money than ever before. They want to keep more of that money. I mean, I've been calling for that for a very long time. I wish we would go back to the custom stages as well, but my guess is there's probably logistical reasons for it as well. You know, they have their LED set. They can adapt it. They can throw graphics up there. It costs a small fortune. Or maybe a not so small fortune. And I think that they just prefer to use that, you know, and they can throw anything up there they want to as far as logos and Titantrons and all kinds of stuff. But I do wish more often, it doesn't have to be every PLE, but I do wish them more often they would have custom stages for more than just WrestleMania. And then there are also going to be times where if they're running certain venues and they want to fit as many people in there as possible, because right now they're selling so many tickets, if anything, they may be underselling in certain buildings. They may want to open up more seating. That's okay too, because I always think it's very cool when the wrestlers walk out and there's kind of like a little break in the aisle, right? And behind them are fans. Normally they come out as a giant stage behind them, but when they come out, you still see people behind them, like when they run these baseball stadiums. They come out of the dugout sometimes and there's people behind them. I think that's a cool look. I like that too. Wild Bird chiming in with the $5 super chat. I'm back. After hanging out with JC Jane and Thea Hale on NXT, this chicken and turkey right now feels bad and wild. Well, welcome back. Bobby's World, thank you for the 5 gifted channel memberships. Josiah Ball, Seth, Slap Talk, Michael, Tanya are all channel members now. Thanks very much to Bobby's World. Wild Bird says, also I was doing Halloween marathons, movies and TV. I didn't do any marathons, but I made sure I watched the OG Halloween and a little bit of part 3 before I fell asleep the other night. I have to go back and finish it. Aussie of Steel, $6. I feel like there's enough tag teams on SmackDown to justify splitting up the tag titles. Otherwise, what's the point of keeping them unified if it's just going to be the same 2 teams fighting for them? Well, I agree. It should be more than just the same 2 teams, but I'm not as convinced as you are that there's enough there on the SmackDown side, at least, to split them just yet. I mean, if the Creed brothers are now up full time, that helps. I still feel like we could use a couple more teams. You know, they just lost the Viking Raiders. Eric is going to be out for a very long time. He had neck fusion surgery. So the Vikings are done for now. The Usos have been done. New Day came back recently, so we have them back. Alpha Academy is there. Imperium. The problem with Imperium is it looks like they may be split up as well soon with Giovanni Vinci. I don't know how much longer they're going to be together for. Then over on SmackDown, you've got Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. You've got Pretty Deadly, the Brawling Brutes, and the Street Profits. And I believe that's it, right? It's just those 4. Owens and Zayn are no more. Who am I missing? Jamie Dorsch says, I bought tickets for the NHL Stadium Series at MetLife between the Devils and the Flyers in February. What are some places to check out around the arena? Going to be staying in Newark. I put that out to all of our New Jerseyans out there. They're probably more equipped to answer that than I am. I wish I could help you, but I'm not out in that area so much that I know the places around there. In fact, I was only at MetLife once. That was for WrestleMania back in 2013. So anybody who can help Jamie, chime in the chat. Wildbird, the best thing about horror movies is the TNAs. There is a lot of that in many horror movies. That's right. The Juliet, that's right, DIY, just reunited. Forgot about them. Prince Vegeta 95 with the $9.99. If he ever gets out of this rut that he's in, do you think Austin Theory is still a future world champion in this company? Ever since his win against Cena, he has looked like a complete joke. Talked about Austin Theory earlier. I think right now I look at him, I don't see it. But I do think the company does. Getting him there is going to be a challenge. You could put the world title on him, but I don't think it's going to be very successful. I think he's still missing that little ingredient he needs to make that connection and kind of get to that next level that he just can't seem to get to. I don't look at Austin Theory right now and immediately think this guy's a future world champion. I look at him and I think, okay, he could be a future world champion, but what is he missing to put the pieces together to get to a point where I could look at him and say, okay, that's a world champion. It's not enough to just say that somebody has the potential or should be a world champion. Do you want to see Austin Theory as the world champion? The Austin Theory that you see right now, is that somebody that you want to see as your world champion for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months? Because I don't. He has to get there first. Mr. AJ All Day, thank you for the $20, AJ. I appreciate that. He says, do you think that they can do the same thing with LA Knight that they did with Lex Luger in 97 when he beat Hulk Hogan? The belt eventually went to Sting anyway because that was the story. LA Knight wins and then loses it, then Cody wins at Mania. No, you can't do that. Can't do that. That ruins the whole thing. The whole thing is that Roman Reigns is unbeatable until he loses to whoever that guy is going to be. If LA Knight is not going to be that person, and it doesn't look like he is, he's not going to be, then Roman should not be losing to him. Like I've seen some other people make the suggestion, do a dusty finish, where we go off the air thinking that LA Knight won the belt, but then we come to find out the next week on SmackDown that on a technicality, he actually didn't, and the belt goes back to Roman Reigns. I don't like that either. I don't like that either. First of all, doing a dusty finish like that is a bad idea. But Roman has been unbeatable for so long. And you're so close to WrestleMania. You know, we had the stare down with Cody all those weeks ago, and it got millions of views on YouTube for a fucking stare down, right? They didn't even touch. That's the story going into WrestleMania 40. You kill the story if Roman loses before then. He got pinned in a tag team match by Jey Uso, but I'm talking singles. He cannot be beaten until the time comes that his run is over. Not to get it off of him and then just put it right back on him. I don't like that. I don't like that idea. Not a fan of that. Nasir Alexander, why does Bianca get so much hate? She is great. Bianca is fantastic. She's an incredible athlete. She has excellent matches. But I think it's, part of it is the Charlotte Flair thing, where there is this idea that Bianca is constantly in the title picture, and it's like they're incapable of, or they just don't want her involved in anything other than always being in the championship picture, when she might benefit from taking a breather. And if they can come up with an interesting story for her that happens to not be centered around the championship, give her a little breather for a few months doing something else, I don't know that that would be such a bad thing. But as far as Bianca herself as a performer, she's fantastic. I mean, are there people who think she's not? Or is it more they're just sick of this perceived super Bianca type push that she's getting? I think that has more to do with it than anything else. Yeah, I'll give you an example. Like, we don't know yet exactly which brand Jade Cargill is going to land on. And Bianca has even teased, I can't wait to work with Jade, or maybe we could even be tag team partners. She said that in an interview recently. If Bianca doesn't win the belt tomorrow, and I would not do a title change. But if she doesn't win the belt and Jade comes to SmackDown, you could do something with Jade and Bianca. It might be a little too soon to immediately jump into that. But Jade and Bianca, it doesn't have to be for the championship. You could do that and leave the title for some other people to go after. I still feel this way. I still feel the WrestleMania match is going to be Charlotte and Bianca. And if it's Charlotte and Bianca, it will be for the championship. And then people will be forced to choose. All the people that do not like the Charlotte Flair push, or are starting to resent Bianca because they look at her as another Charlotte Flair, you're going to have to make a choice. Who do you want to see win? Charlotte or Bianca? You'll have to make your choice. Yeah, the other thing also about Bianca, I've said before, I think she was a great heel in NXT. We have yet to see her as a heel on the main roster. And I think she would be great in that role. And I think that they may be, and maybe she is also, resistant to turning her heel because she is so popular and she does a lot of charity stuff and she has a reality show coming out. But she has a reality show coming out with Montez Ford. Montez Ford is a heel. So I don't want to hear, Bianca can't go heel. Of course she can. I think that would help also. It would be just like an attitude change. To go from the happy skipping to the ring, twirling the braid Bianca, to something a little bit different. Right? What's wrong with that? Freshen things up a little bit. Devin from NJ. Hey, maybe Devin can help answer the question that we had before. From Jamie. Hey, Devin, tell Jamie what he needs to know about places to go in and around MetLife. Ray has the perfect answer. She says her choice is Charlotte Belair. Why not Bianca Flair? See, I think that sounds better. Bianca Flair. Now people's heads are going to explode. Devin says, better wrestling Joker Sting. Better wrestling Joker. Sting or Seth Rollins? Sting. Sting. I didn't even have to think. The answer is Sting. Lady Fire Panda with the $50 super chat bomb from early. Wait, that was the first one that actually popped up on the stream. Holy shit! All right, we got to play catch up here. That was the first one that came through after I went live. Hey DEH, how's your dad, DEH? Thank you for the super chat. We are at 417 likes, so you guys are getting to be the booker here. Congratulations. We'll do that in a little bit here. But Fire Panda says, how would you rate the rebranding of NXT? Do you think it's been underwhelming, or do you think it's been a good thing for the company? Also, I know people look at Braun and Melo as the future, but to me, Trick Williams will be the next big star in WWE. I think all three are going to be major stars on the main roster. I do think that Braun is the one who will likely end up having the most success, and I think Trick is right behind him. I actually think Trick will end up being a bigger star than Carmelo Hayes. You know, with the pace that he's going and the way he's picking things up and the size that he has, he's got more size than Carmelo does. And I know some people, well, what's the big deal? Size. I mean, that's so 25 years ago. It's really not. You know, in this company, size will always be something they look highly upon. And he's got, obviously, charisma for days. So he kind of checks all the boxes Trick does, right? He can talk, he's got charisma, he's got size, he looks great. He's going to be a big star for them. I'm actually, it's funny you mentioned that about NXT. I am going to be giving my thoughts. It's funny because I jotted this down when I did my NXT review, my notes for the show on Tuesday. Some thoughts about what Shawn Michaels has done. So I'd rather wait until then, and you can, you know, for more of a kind of a greater look at where NXT is, in my opinion. But now, overall, look, I think that it took time for them to get to a point where NXT has been able to claw back a little bit of the charm that it used to have. The black and gold is something that they're never going to go back to. But people looked at that and said, well, there had to be a change because you couldn't just keep focusing on the indie talents. My whole thing was, you didn't have to blow up NXT in the way that they did. You could have had a nice hybrid mix of the two. And in fact, for the people who say, oh, you see, Vince McMahon was right, blowing up NXT into rainbow colors the way that he did. I kind of laugh at that a little bit, just because if you look at a lot of the names that are on that roster right now, who were champion or who were featured in a prominent role and are playing a very big role in modern day NXT, it's people like Ilya Dragunov, right? It's people like Carmelo Hayes, and it's people, you know, Gallus. They were tag team champions for how many months? These people are not rookies. These are independent wrestlers who come from independent backgrounds who are still anchoring the show. And that was my whole thing. You can still have those veterans anchoring the show, just do a better job of cycling in some of the younger talents. And I think the black and gold could have just kind of evolved from there. It didn't have to be as drastic of a change. But here we are now. Was it 2 years, I think? We're 2 years into this kind of NXT reboot. And they have found that Shawn Michaels has found, I think, a good mix of talent on the show, and he has created something, I think, that is working. So it took this long for them to get to this point, but you look at the talent they have in the pipeline down there, especially on the women's side, right? A lot of talent down there. I think the women's division is pretty stocked, probably for years to come. So I think now it's starting to pay off for them. But again, I don't think that you necessarily had to blow it up as drastically as they did, all in one fell swoop like that. You could have implemented a plan where you could have had a nice mix of the two, and that would have been fun. I think that would have worked too. But again, I do laugh at that. To listen to some people talk about NXT now, you would think that there is just nothing but PC talent on the show, and that's just not true. It's just not. You know, when they closed down NXT UK and a lot of that talent migrated over, some of them are on the main roster right now, like Imperium, and some of them are in NXT. they're the ones who are really anchoring these shows, you know? Throw Tyler Bate in there too, right? He's on the shows. Noam Dar. These are not rookies. You know, it's not. You always need that veteran talent there. You can't just dismiss that and say, we got to go younger. Yes, fine. But you need them to work with these people. Right? That was the biggest issue with the black and gold there at the end. They just weren't doing as good of a job of cycling in the newer talent. But they've finally gotten to a place where I think NXT has a nice little thing going on for itself. Mr. X, what's more likely to happen? Punk returning by WrestleMania 40 or LA Knight winning tomorrow? I say neither, but if I had a bet, I would say the latter. No, I would say of the two, there's a better chance that, well, wait a minute. LA Knight winning the match or LA Knight winning the title? LA Knight winning the match, very possible. LA Knight winning the title, I don't see it. It's a better chance that we get CM Punk back. JM with the $50 bomb from an hour ago. And JM came in with the 200 bomb the other night. 50 more here. Happy Friday, Solo. Given who is under contract with WWE and AEW, you give me your ideal combo for a two-person, both for each company's major pay-per-view. I don't really understand the question. Can you give me your ideal combo for a two-person? All right, so I guess you mean WWE talent against an AEW talent. Well, I don't know about each major pay-per-view. If I'm understanding the question correctly, he says respectfully, Jay White. Yes, I called him Jay White by accident the other night. You should be so proud. If I'm understanding the question correctly, I do think that Kenny Omega and Seth Rollins, I think, would have an incredible match. I think MJF and Roman Reigns would be wonderfully entertaining to see the promos leading up to it and then the match itself. I think that you could take someone like a Bryan Danielson, obviously, and put him in the ring with almost anybody in WWE. He's already worked with a lot of those people. But, you know, Omega and Rollins, MJF and Roman Reigns. I'm sitting next to Cody Rhodes, man. Yeet. Yeet. JM again, as I'm reading his super chat, he drops another 45 on me. And another 2, saying, sorry, commentary booth, not both. I see. See, now that makes more sense, although I just gave you a couple of the matches I'd like to see. Okay, so two-person commentary booth. So mixing the two, huh? Well, I'm going to go with the layup here. I always enjoyed Michael Cole and Taz on SmackDown back in the day, and I think there may have been a falling out between them. I don't know the nature of it. But I would love to see Michael Cole and Taz get another run back on commentary together. I think they would be great. They had a great chemistry back then. I think that Ian Riccaboni and Corey Graves, I think, would be a pretty cool announced combo as well. Mr. AJ Allday forgot to say thank you, Solo, for all that you do. AJ, I appreciate that. Again, I also appreciate all the ideas. Just that last one is, I just can't get behind that. But I appreciate that. Excalibur and Kevin Patrick. Yeah, if you lock them in a closet, sure. Rob G. A Click NWO in 2002 wasn't a bad idea, in my opinion. What do you think? Yeah, I think it was. The NWO at that point was washed. I mean, the logo still sells. Did you see that list of the top WWE merch sellers in the month of October? Stone Cold is on the list every single month, okay? 25 years after Stone Cold first got hot during the Attitude Era, he is still in the top 10 of merch sellers in that company, which will forever fascinate me. But the NWO, I think, was on there at like number 8, right? Like the greatest wrestling logo t-shirt of all time, right? Has to be. Has to be the highest selling. It's that and Austin 316. Probably Austin 316 number 1, then NWO. But I mean, the NWO and WWE in 2002, it failed. It was never going to work. Because the whole concept of the NWO was that they were an invading force from WWE. That was how they were implemented in the first place. That was the idea behind it. They were taking over. Now you're going to send them back to WWE, and they're older, and the NWO at that point was already beaten to death. I don't think that was going to work in the end, regardless of whether Vince turned Hogan babyface or not. I think it was a lost cause from probably day one. Rodimus Prime with the 7 from Tony Khan making his announcement to Ric Flair signing to AEW. These are 2 things that are extremely unnecessary. Agreed. Deontay Soigné with the $10. Still have New Japan and Saudi tomorrow. That's right. New Japan has a show tomorrow as well. I think is that Will Ospreay defending against Shota Umino? I believe so. You didn't see that promo, by the way, at the press conference that Will Ospreay cut on Shota, on the young shooter. You'll find it on Twitter. It's floating around on X. Go check that promo out. You tell me Will Ospreay can't cut a promo. People say that, oh, he's still a flippy guy. I don't think, he deserves to get top guy money when he becomes a free agent. He can't talk. He has no charisma. He has no, get the fuck out of here. Fuck out of here with that shit opinion. Deontay says, still have New Japan and Saudi tomorrow to watch after SmackDown and Rampage. And a 12-hour shift. I'm also tired as fuck. Thank you for being with us. After the stream, I'm going to take a nap. Wake up at 2 a.m. All love, bro. All love to you too as well, Deontay. Bruv. That's right, bruv. Love you, bruv. Come on, bruv. Base Beer is God of Seduction. She slipped and fell, brother. She slipped and fell, brother. Side of the road, brother. She was taking a leak, brother. I don't know what happened. Renots 365. Has there been a time where you have found wrestling so boring that you could not keep following it? Mine was Cena against Orton era and the pandemic. Mine was the very beginning of 1995. I remember it, February of 95. I came this close to just checking out. Just boring. Yeah, 95 was not a great year business-wise for them. It was not the most exciting year creatively, although they had a lot of really talented guys on the roster that year. Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Sean Waltman, Owen Hart, Hakushi. Had a lot of talents on the roster, but it was just so fucking boring the beginning part of that year. But I'm glad I stuck with it. Jazz Jackrabbit. You're exhausted, Solo? Get some woo energy. Side effects include increased libido, teary eyes, urges to shout woo, flashing of forefingers, and genitals. John Trailer with the $20 super chat. John says, "What's up, Solomonster? Who would you have Jade Cargill feud with first?" I would have her feud with Liv Morgan. I think Liv could play a role for the woman the way Dolph Ziggler did for the men. Kind of a gatekeeper. What are your thoughts? Ooh, the Liv Morgan fans are not going to want to hear that. No, I wouldn't use Liv in that way. Liv is actually very popular. And I'm not saying she has to be the champion, but I do think when she comes back, I wouldn't use her in a gatekeeper role. If you have other women on the roster you can do that with. Liv is also going to be out for a while longer. We don't know when she's going to be back. You know, she got hurt with her shoulder. I mean, she could be out for 2 more months. She could be back by the Royal Rumble, or she could be back, you know, in 5 or 6 months. I don't know what the update is on Liv. There's conflicting reports about that. Do they want to wait until she's ready to come back just to have Jade beat her? Probably not. So that might throw a monkey wrench into those plans. But, you know, I wouldn't use Liv. I wouldn't use Liv in that way. DEH says DG against MJF for the world title on Wednesday. Tony Khan on crack. DG? The Daniel Garcia? Was that announced on Rampage? Daniel Garcia against MJF for the world championship on Wednesday? And how did this come about? What's the story here? Fill me in. Or is there no story? Wappa Tapa, how many donos for you to do the Tyla Water Challenge? I don't know what it is. You have to tell me what it is first. Is that like the Ice Bucket Challenge? Will Chisholm, thank you for the 5. We can tell Vince is not booking because Theory would beat Seth for that title. Vince McMahon was going to overpush it. He was in segments with him. That's why we know Vince McMahon was all in on Austin Theory. He literally put himself on television with him to try to get him over. So Daniel Garcia, he just challenged MJF on Rampage tonight. That was it? That was enough to get a world title match? Okay. All right. Whatever. Uffman Entertainment, is that an Intercontinental title on your bookshelf? Yes, it is. Good eye. Good eye. DEH says, I know the rumors are saying that Mercedes signs with AEW, but Tony Khan is doing everything in his hands to drive her away with the women's booking. I don't really see any rumors lately about that. It's been very quiet on the Mercedes front. I think she's keeping it very close to the vest as far as what she's going to do. I would caution anybody not to jump to any conclusions about where she's going to land until we get to the Royal Rumble. Because I would not be surprised if she were to pop up in the Royal Rumble match in January. Will Chisholm, I think when fans know you're a Vince guy or woman, it hurts that talent. Drew back in the day, Cena, Roman, Charlotte, and Theory was just in your face. He was definitely in your face with it when he picked his guy, like Diesel beating Bob Backlund in 8 seconds for the championship in Madison Square Garden after being Shawn Michaels' muscle. I know he was the Intercontinental Champion for a few months, but to go from where he was to being the world champion who's smiling like a big baby face, yeah, you knew who Vince was throwing his muscle behind. Lex Luger on the Intrepid, going from the narcissist to the American hero from one day to the next, trying to make the next Hulk Hogan. One thing Vince McMahon never was when it came to that sort of thing is subtle. Subtlety was not his specialty. Eli 101, when is the next time that you will be doing a watch along? I don't know. It's been a while. We do the classic watch along. I don't do watch alongs for the current stuff because I don't like that format. I prefer the review format after. But as far as a classic watch along, I will have to give that some thought as far as what we will be watching. Maybe I'll take some suggestions from people on what they might want to watch along too. But it's been a while, so yeah, we probably should do a new one. Thank you, Eli. I think that was Eli's first super chat. JM with that $45 drop says, well, I met this lady and I told her quite a story. Said I love her forevermore. But the trouble is I tell the same old story to every girl that walks through the door. Shout out to the chat who brought up Slick's theme. You know, I might put Slick at number 2. I have Hogan at number 1, and it might be between Demolition and Slick for the second spot. I don't know. He had a pretty bitchin' theme song, though. JM, thank you so much for all the love tonight. Will Chisholm, I gotta say it was funny seeing WrestleVotes and PWI arguing over Kyrie coming to WWE. I did see that. WrestleVotes put something out saying that she was added to the miscellaneous roster internally. They have like a actual roster internally where people are listed in the babyface column, in the active column, in the injured column. And they said that Kyrie was just added to the miscellaneous column. And then Mike Johnson, a PW insider, who very reliable with his news, said that never acknowledged WrestleVotes. I don't think he ever acknowledges WrestleVotes, even when WrestleVotes gets stuff right, which he probably should be doing. But he said, well, you know, the rumor killer. There were rumors going around that Kyrie was added to the internal roster, and I can tell you that is not true. And then a few hours later, he posted an update and said, well, Kyrie was just added to the roster this afternoon. And so WrestleVotes called him out on it on Twitter. And yeah, it was a one-day controversy that came and went. It's much ado about nothing. We all know Kyrie is on her way back. Boney, buy or sell 2002 NWO or 2019 DX? 2002 NWO. I'll still take 2002 NWO over any of these DX reunions and DX iterations, even going back to 2006. I'll take NWO 2002. Mr. X, worst Hogan sidekick. I say Bubba. Well, I mean, it would be Bubba. It would be who are the sidekicks, right? Brutus is the obvious one. Bubba, he was friends with Jimmy Hart, but I love Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart's great. What other Hogan sidekicks were there? Were those the only ones? I'll go Brutus. Actually, you know what? If you're gonna lump Bubba in there, Bubba the Love Sponge, fuck Bubba the Love Sponge. I'm glad Amazing Khan kicked his ass. Prince Vegeta 95, kind of sucks that they never did a Reigns Sheamus program for the title. They never did Reigns Sheamus, they never did Reigns AJ, they never did Reigns Lashley. He says they have history going back to 2015 when Sheamus cashed in on him. Yeah, and now it's not gonna happen because Sheamus is hurt. He may not even be back before Roman loses the belt. Brian Knobs, yes, Bischoff, of course, Bischoff. How can I forget Bischoff? How can I forget? If you ever want to know what Hulk Hogan had for breakfast, just ask Eric Bischoff. Rumpelmane, streets need that Solomonster Tyler Water Challenge. I don't know what is the Tyler Water Challenge. I'm almost afraid to ask.
Look, everyone, it's
Samoa Bro. In stereo. Lady Fire Panda, thank you. HBKC83 with the $10 super chat. HBK, thank you. Is there any truth to there being a Vader against Rick Rude feud back in 93 or 94? I remember seeing a segment on WCW Saturday Night, I think with Vader costing Rude a match or something like that. I don't think so. I don't remember them having a proper feud. I know Vader and Bulldog did. I'm trying to think if Vader... I know Vader and Sting, Vader and Cactus Jack, Vader and Bulldog. I don't think so. I can't remember there being a Vader-Rude feud. I don't think so. Lady Fire Panda with the $20. Do you know what AEW needs to get back in the fight against WWE? Is the one and only Great Khali. Khali against every old-timer in a Punjabi prison match, twice a night, every night. It wasn't enough to see him booked in a Punjabi prison match against me. Now you want to send him to AEW? Thank you, Fire Panda. That is an awful idea. Absolutely horrendous. Although now we have Paul White getting ready to wrestle in AEW, and I am reminded of that great story from WWE where we had a battle of the giants in the locker room where they got into a fight, and I think Kali actually turned. I think he said to Kali, "You're the shits" or something, and Kali said, "You're the shits," and then they started fighting. And I wouldn't want to get between those two guys. I don't remember how that was broken up, but that was always one of the funnier stories I remember hearing. So yeah, let's send Kali over to AEW and he can wrestle Paul White. And we'll make Ric Flair the special enforcer. How about that? That sounds like a great idea. If you want to book the territory into the ground, you can go ahead and book that match. I, on the other hand, am going to book some matches of my own because it is time to be the booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
Abu Sika with $1.99 solo Tyler Water Challenge would get the views up. I feel like this is a running joke now. No one will tell me what it is, and so there will be no Tyler Water Challenge. All right, be the booker time. And then I will get to whatever super chats may be left. Whoever gets the last word, I don't know. I don't know who it's going to be. We'll see. But let's see here. I am going to play Matchmaker tonight, as I play Matchmaker for House of Glory. So let's play Matchmaker here on the stream and see if I can do half as good of a job. And I do here with Terry Funk. Can't go wrong booking Terry Funk in a match. The late, great Terry Funk. There you go. Terry Funk. One-on-one. With Roosh. Is that a match that you ever imagined seeing? Terry Funk and Roosh? Make it a hardcore match. Make it a false count anywhere match between Roosh and Terry Funk, and that right there is a wild brawl. I'd pay money to see that. Hey, Nicholas. I hope you're doing okay, Nicholas. I'm glad you're with us. I do like this match. It's bringing the generations together, young and old. That's what I like about it. Makes you think, what would a match like that have looked like? All right, we begin here with Shotzi. Before she shaved her head, Shotzi Blackheart. And it will be Shotzi one-on-one with Sable. Get that garbage out of my promotion. Shotzi and Sable is no good. And now we head over to the tag team side. Everyone loves a good classic tag team match, right? We begin with the Quebecers, Jacques and Pierre. Didn't we just land on the Quebecers last week? I think we did. Former tag team champions, the Quebecers, I believe two-time tag team champions, in fact. They're not the Mounties. We may have to put that on the list of great theme songs as well. When they got in trouble for calling the Mountie... calling him the Mountie in his theme song. So what did they do? They made a new song. We're not the Mounties. Fucking trolls. All right, we got the Quebecers against the Dudley Boys. There you go. That's an old school match right there. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the wrestling business, Kevin Owens included, who would love to see Bubba Ray Dudley beat the fuck out of Jacques Rougeau. I don't know who wins that fight though. Now that you know what, now that I think about it, I think Jacques might be able to. He might be able to take him. I don't know how tough Bubba would be in there with Jacques, but I like that match. Quebecers and the Dudley Boys. That is Be the Booker. Here you go. 2 out of 3. You hear a lot of bad stories about Jacques Rougeau from people who either trained with him or were supposed to be trained by him. I don't hear a lot of good things. Kevin Owens is not the only one. PCO could take both Dudleys. I didn't mention PCO. I was talking about Jacques. You are right, though. PCO is unbelievable. At his age, the things that he's still doing, and he just re-signed another deal with Impact. Or TNA, whatever. They're not TNA yet. Right? January, they'll be TNA again. They're not TNA yet. Am I doing any more 2K? Did you not see the last episode that I did? When I rage quit? I said I'm done. People trying to drag me back into it to finish the story. What am I, Cody Rhodes? Finish the story. The game was making me crazy. Manuel with the $5. Thank you, sir. Are you feeling confident that Cody wins the title at WrestleMania? I fear they may want Roman to break Hogan's stupid record. Just wanted your... Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned this. I'm going to say it again. Because I already said this before, but maybe you didn't see the segment. I got a comment like this on YouTube 2 days ago. I just want to... I'm glad you brought this up. There is no Hulk Hogan record. I see this mentioned and it drives me absolutely nuts. There is no record with Hulk Hogan. The record for the longest reigning WWE champion of all time is Bruno Sammartino. Roman Reigns is not breaking that record. That's the record. Pedro Morales does not have the record. Hulk Hogan does not have a record. Bob Backlund does not have a record. Bob Backlund may have had a record were it not for Bruno Sammartino. Just like Hogan would have the record were it not for Bob Backlund and Bruno Sammartino. So it's the use of the word record. It just drives me absolutely crazy. The idea that WWE would keep the title on Roman Reigns just to break Hulk Hogan's record where there is no record. There's none. The idea of if WWE were to do that, that would be the stupidest thing that I have seen in a very long time from this company. As long as Roman Reigns has had the championship for, the time has come to get that title off of Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia. But no. We can't do that because in September of next year, another fucking year, he'll break the record, except Hulk Hogan does not have the record. I wish people, I'm not just talking about Manuel, but I wish people would stop saying that. Hulk Hogan will tell you that he has the record, but Hulk Hogan will tell you anything. He'll tell you anything you want to hear. There's no record. There's no reason for Roman to wait until September because there's no record to be beaten. If he passes Hogan, what is he on the list? Number 3? Who cares? No one wants to be number 3. What kind of record is that? There's no record. There's no reason to prolong this any longer. So I'm glad you brought that up. I've been meaning to talk about that. People still do it. The record, the Hogan record. What are you talking about? The Hogan record. You talking about the actual record he came out with all of his songs, Hulkster in Heaven, and all the other songs on his actual record, his album that came out? Sure, he's got a record. I don't want the title on Roman Reigns because they think they're going to break some kind of imaginary record. Fuck that. Am I feeling confident to answer your question, though? Yes, I am feeling confident, especially after that face-off that they had a few weeks ago. Abusika, thank you again for the $1.99. And Mr. X, biggest crybaby. I say either Punk or Honky. Honky. Why is Honky a crybaby? I mean, Honky would talk shit about people. I never looked at him as a crybaby, though. Mr. X, though, thank you very much. So, tomorrow, it is 12:15. In 12 hours, the pre-show will be underway for Crown Jewel. And the pre-show match is Sami Zayn against JD McDonough. And then the actual show itself begins at 1 o'clock Eastern. And I'll be here taking notes on the show, which probably means no lunch for me, but whatever. So anyway, that's Crown Jewel coming up tomorrow. I will be live. I don't know exactly when. It depends when Crown Jewel is over. If it starts at 1, my guess is it's over by 4. So probably 4:30 or so. Somewhere in that range, maybe 4:30 Eastern time. I'll be here on YouTube. Just the page will be up late in the morning. So stop by the page, like the page, and chat in the page. And I'll keep you posted on exactly when I'll be going live. So that's tomorrow. For those of you who can make it, I hope you can. And then episode 833 of the podcast on Sunday. Remember, all month long here in the month of November, we are celebrating 16 years. Don't let that outro that I played deceive you, even though it says 15 years. 16 years of the Sound Off as of this month. Actually, technically, it's this weekend. And those of you who are channel members who have those skulls next to your name, if you are a Legends tier member, you can go back and listen to the very first episode that I ever did, which was a whopping 7 minutes long. Back in 2007. It is up for our top tier members here on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for all the love. A very skippable edition of SmackDown, but never a skippable edition of the stream here on YouTube, right? You guys know that. So be well, stay safe, and we'll do it all over again in about, I don't know, 15 hours or so. 16 hours, something like that, on Saturday for Crown Jewel. Until then, take care.